And we're back. I'm Jim Bradfield, and this is Ever-Changing Technology here on Now Media Television. Welcome back to Ever-Changing Technology. Loving what you're watching? Don't miss a moment of Ever-Changing Technology or any of your favorite Now Media TV shows, live or on demand, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS and enjoy instant access to our full lineup of bilingual programming that's both English and Spanish. Prefer to listen on the go? Catch the podcast version of the show right on Now Media TV website at www.nowmedia.tv. From business and breaking news to lifestyle, culture, and everything in between, Now Media TV is streaming 24/7, ready whenever you are. So we've covered education, cybersecurity, and robotics. Now let's close with one of the most personal topics of all, healthcare. Many people feel healthcare is too expensive and too slow. Can AI make it faster, more affordable, more human? Viewers worry about the cost, speed, and privacy in healthcare, Allen. This segment explores how AI is helping doctors detect diseases earlier, personalize treatment, and protect patient data. So, Allen, how is AI changing the way doctors find diseases earlier and help those patients?
Well, I think it's giving them, opportunities to see things and really see them faster, provided the models are trained, of course, the right way, and they're benchmarked and things like that. As well as is really, looking at the patient as a whole, going back through all of their data, understanding all of their images, and putting all that information together so that when the AI is looking at something, or even when the doctor is looking at something that the AI put together from a data visualization perspective, that it's giving the doctors more information and allowing them to make a better judgment. And same thing with the AI. If the AI is allowed to do that, that's something that it's helping with as well. Now, one of the things that is interesting, and actually I just saw a study about this morning, where a doctor that is working with AI, before they had AI, say they had an accuracy of 98%, for example, and with the accuracy, it improved maybe 1% or something, but the speed was a big difference. When the AI went away, then the doctors actually were still able to perform at about the same percent of accuracy, but they actually were able to go faster. And so it seems like there's some on the job training that's also taking place, just from a rhythm, from a visualization, from all those things. And so I think that just shows you, though, again, using it as a teammate as opposed to a replacement is really the way to go.
Yeah, that's really an interesting statistic. I have never heard anything like that. It's amazing.
First time. Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that too.
Wow. So in healthcare, trying to make things more personal, does it also help them be more efficient and effective, but also help them understand patients as individuals?
I think so. That's one thing. There's two things really in med school from folks that I've talked to that, med school doesn't train you for. Doesn't train you how to run a business, because doctors are running businesses. Even, if they're with hospitals or something, that's a little different. But if they're in private practice, they're running businesses. And it also doesn't teach you how to interact with people. And that's hard. And I think AI can help facilitate definitely the business part, but even some of the personal relations, and really trying to, get to know your patients a little bit faster, get to know them a little bit quicker, and that's the trade-off that you have to make. Because on the flip side, patients don't want to interact with robots, and they don't want to interact with happy robots because it ticks them off. So something to think about.
Wow. I actually hadn't thought of that, but at UCSF Medical Center, they had a couple of robots, Lisa Marie and Elvis. And they used to dispense the drugs and go up and down, the elevators and things like that. And we put in the wireless networks to help them do that. But I thought that was kind of interesting. But what other things is AI being used for in hospitals that the average person might not even realize?
Well, some of it is, around diets. What can folks eat? It's helping with diet plans. It's helping with really just general health plans, trying to, get people to be healthier, giving them additional material so that they can read and understand. If you think about it, one of the hardest things to do is have a discussion between a patient and a doctor. Why? Because the doctor's going to say a whole bunch of big words, not on purpose, but they're big words, and people get intimidated by that. Well, imagine if you're a patient and you've got an AI translator for you. You're both speaking English, but they're not the same English. The AI can help you understand what the heck did he just say that's 42 words or 42 letters, right? It's using it from that perspective again to better understand what is actually, taking place. And I think it's allowing patients to feel more comfortable in asking more questions, asking, the hard questions, and then even trying to personalize, some of their treatments and follow-up plans.
Yeah, and for families worried about privacy, and you talked about all that data and everything, how do we make sure that AI protects sensitive health data instead of misusing it?
Well, the challenge around that is really, really going to be driven by how it's implemented. If it's implemented the right way, if your data is initially encrypted in the first place, those two things will help really guarantee, so what your privacy is, your health privacy is going to look like. Now, again, it's the same sort of thing though. If you just put it all out there and, don't pay attention to owning your digital identity, then it's just as easy for anybody else to get that as opposed to not. However, I will say this from a cyber perspective, we'll just touch on that a little bit again. Those hackers that are taking over these hospitals, they don't want your personal data. They don't care about that. They just want to get a ransom money from the hospital, so they'll uncrypt it and then they can go back to work. They're not trying to steal your personal data. And so I just want to, alleviate some concerns around that too, because that scares a lot of people. And in the long run, they really don't care about that because that's not what their intent is. So you really just have to put a security stack in place, monitor your own stuff, and do the best you can.
Yeah, and speaking in terms of that kind of thing, do you see AI making healthcare more affordable for everyone, or is it just going to be mainly helping big hospitals get bigger?
If you are in a rural area, and that's really where I've seen a lot of help come along. You can get some treatments by Zoom calls. You can do those kind of things. AI and the software really allows rural areas that don't have access to hospitals per se and have to talk to a doctor on the phone, or a video call or something like that. It's giving them an opportunity to communicate, or if they go get imaging done, for example, in a tiny hospital, it's allowing AI to read some of those, so your treatment is a little bit faster. Now, I don't know about the financials. I haven't really seen enough from the financial perspective yet, but what I would assume is, like all the other industries out there, as they use AI more, they are going to either grow, or they can use their staff in different ways, or whatever their strategic plan is going to look like. And so I anticipate the same effects will come in. I don't anticipate that it's going to lower your doctor bill though, just because you've got that insurance company relationship in the middle, and that's going to drive a lot of that.
Yeah, the unfortunate insurance company. I understand that. So,
Yep.
Dr. Allen Badeau, this has been incredibly valuable. Where can people follow your work and continue this conversation with you?
Yeah, they can go on LinkedIn. I respond to things on there. I respond to work emails with Allen Badeau AI. You can send me an email there. Happy to respond to it. Or they can watch my TV show on Now Media AI Today with Dr. Badeau, and we talk about these things. I encourage people to do that because I love responding, and I love helping people understand how to use AI.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, Allen, thank you for sharing your expertise across education, cybersecurity, robotics, and healthcare. You've given us a pretty clear picture of how AI just isn't about technology. It's about people, progress, preparing for the future, especially. Now, to our viewers, the lesson is this. AI is changing every part of our lives, but the goal isn't to replace us. It's to support us, protect us, and even help save lives. So that's all for today's episode of Ever Changing Technology. I'm Jim Bradfield. Thank you for watching. And remember, the future belongs to those who learn how to use it.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.